on, kids. Let's do it. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Welcome to Brett Breaks Things here on a Thursday show. Football tonight, like actual football tonight, not like preseason. You got to pay attention. No, football tonight. Now, I'm not going to spend a ton of time. Boy, do I get pushed back when I talk any kind of sports. And I'm not going to sit here and spend a ton of time. I'm just going to say I'm excited football's coming out tonight. Eagles, Cowboys, can't wait for it. Got Saquon Barkley in 2 leagues. Here we go. All right. Yesterday, we teased some other stories we're going to get into. And, boy, Massey told you that this Epstein thing would hold momentum, would not slow down, would not die out. And he was absolutely right. And they made some correct moves. They made some strategic moves to ensure that it would not lose momentum, like having the survivors account of their abuse, a couple days ago. And now this press conference out in front of the White House. That was held today. Had some of the same survivors and some new ones. Annie Farmer was there again, a few others. So some of the same ones, some new ones, and they spoke in front of the White House. And we're going to give them their minute. We're going to give them their time. We're going to hear from them. They said some pretty interesting things. Okay, we had to cut some stuff out. They said a lot of interesting things. But we went with the stuff that we thought was really relevant, that you really needed to hear. And a lot of this you're not going to hear on the mainstream media, which is kind of our lane, right? We have a little bit of room to roam on some of these stories, and that's exactly what we're going to do with this press conference. We're going to give these ladies a little room, a little airtime. We're also going to give Ro Khanna some airtime, Thomas Massey some airtime, and we're going to hear from Don and others on this developing story because momentum is picking back up for a full release of all documents involved in the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein. And these survivors, in no uncertain terms, are on board with a release of all these files. They are on board. They demand it.
First, they want to know why our government covered up for someone rich and powerful. Why is it that we have two Americas? People say, why do you need to release the Epstein files if Epstein is dead and Maxwell is in jail? Because we don't know who all was involved in the cover-up. Why are there rich and powerful people who didn't have justice? They want to know that. Second, many said it's important for their own closure. They don't know their own abuse. They want to understand what's in these files for themselves. And third, we heard that there are many others who obviously were involved. And they want to know, and the American people deserve to know what was there in those files. I actually think they're helping us come together as a country.
Okay. They want a release of these files. This was yesterday, just to be clear. This press conference was yesterday, just so we're clear. So that's Ro Khanna. He is representing what all the survivors feel, which is they want to go forward with this discharge petition, co-signed by Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey, a bipartisan movement. They want it released. Now, they need 218 votes in the House. 218 votes, 218 signatures on this discharge petition to force a vote. Now, in July, it looked like they were right there. There were 11 Republicans who co-sponsored this discharge petition at the time. They co-sponsored it, and now they want signers to force the vote. But some of those signers have bent the knee. Their spines gave out. They're slinking back into the shadows. Only a handful of Republicans. We're talking about Republicans because we are assuming we're going to get all 212 Democratic votes. We're assuming we're going to get all 212. I think it's a safe assumption. It's the 6 more we need. We got to get to 218, right? Right now we have 4. Massey, Green, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, okay, and Nancy Mace. We showed a video of her. She was visibly shaken, distraught after hearing from the survivors and their accounts of their abuse, her being a survivor herself, and she is co-signing. She's on board. Those 4 Republicans are on board. We need 2 more. We need 2 more. That's what we need. Now, it was interesting. First of all, Anna Paulina Luna, Tim Burchett, and Keith Self all backed out. Those are ones we know backed out. Interestingly enough, Victoria Spartz, a Republican out of Indiana, she was there at the press conference. At this press conference I'm showing you. She was there, and she even said, these women deserve justice, but I need to see what is the best approach. She won't sign it. She won't commit to signing it. She won't sign it. She's there. She'll support them on camera. She'll be seen with them. But she won't go ahead and further their cause. No. She's got to wait. She's got to wait. And why does she have to wait? The White House spoke about this, saying that the signing of this discharge petition would be viewed as very hostile to the administration. Their words. That's why. That's why she won't commit. That's why half of the 11 have backed out. Over half of the 11 co-sponsors, Republican co-sponsors, have backed out. That's why. When push comes to shove, they all get pushed and shoved by Trump. Every single time. Let's hear from some of these survivors.
And to be clear, the only motive for opposing this bill would be to conceal wrongdoing. You have a choice. Stand with the truth or with the lies that have protected predators for decades. I am no longer weak. I am no longer powerless. And I'm no longer alone. And with your vote, neither will the next generation be. President Trump, you have so much influence and power in this situation. Please use that influence and power to help us. Because we need it now, and this country needs it now.
Okay,
Thank you.
That is Inesca DeGiorgio. That is her name. Hopefully Trump isn't writing it down on some retribution list somewhere, because she just called him out personally. And she's saying you can set a standard. She's talking about future victims. You can set a standard, Mr. Trump, that there will be a defense of victims. They will have a voice. They have a shot at justice, no matter who is responsible for their abuse. You are in control of this situation, Mr. Trump. She called him out personally. It's pretty powerful. It's pretty brave. It's pretty brave. These are a lot of brave women we're going to hear from in just a second. This is Annie Farmer.
And I was 16 years old when I was flown to New Mexico to spend a weekend with Epstein and Maxwell. That same year, 1996, my sister, Maria Farmer, reported what happened to me there, along with reporting her own assault at their hands and their theft of sensitive photos of herself, of me, and our younger sister that she had taken for her work as a figurative painter. I am now 46 years old. 30 years later, we still do not know why that report wasn't properly investigated, or why Epstein and his associates were allowed to harm hundreds, if not thousands, of other girls and young women. We have never been told whether those images were found when they discovered a large amount of child sexual abuse material on his property.
Annie Farmer and her sister were featured in the Netflix documentary about what happened, and their tale is heartbreaking. Those young ladies' lives were destroyed by Maxwell and Epstein, and they were not listened to. There was no investigation at the time. They were never brought to justice for what they did to those 2 girls. But she's speaking out now. She's got her platform now. I'll give it to her. It's my pleasure. We're going to hear from Brad Edwards now. He is one of the lawyers for the survivors. He was there at the press conference.
Unfortunately, all of the documents and evidence that we have worked so hard to gather hide behind protective orders, confidentiality agreements, and bank secrecy laws. That is why this discharge petition is so important. While we have seen the documents, you haven't. And when you see the documents, you're going to be appalled. And the American people deserve to see everything. When you sign this discharge petition, it should mean nothing is off limits. That means the documents in the possession of the CIA should be made available. Those in the possession of the FBI going back decades should be made available. The SEC, financial records in the possession of FinCEN should be made available. Everybody knows that evil flourishes in the darkness. Corruption flourishes in secrecy. It is time right now to make a difference for the women that are behind me right now. They have been courageous and fought through this whole thing. Whether you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, this one is an easy call. You're an American who cares about equal rights and equal protection under the law. If you care about these women, if you care about our country, and you care about this issue, this should pass with flying colors.
Yeah, I agree with him. Ro Khanna agrees with him. Thomas Massey agrees with him. Marjorie Taylor Greene agrees with him. Lauren Boebert agrees with him. There is a growing crowd of people that agree with Brad Edwards. Growing crowd. A lot of pressure. No matter how much the Trump administration wants to diminish this, downplay it, and they do, and we're going to hear from him, it's growing. And this press conference went a long way. It went a long way. Now, Lisa Phillips, one of the survivors, she said a mouthful. She said something very, very interesting. She said something that if Miss DeGiorgio didn't get his ears perked up, this certainly did. Listen to Miss Lisa Phillips.
We are not asking for pity. We are here demanding accountability, and I'm demanding justice. Congress must choose. Will you continue to protect predators, or will you finally protect survivors? And also, I would like to announce here today, us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list.
Whoa.
We know the names.
Oh.
Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know who were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details.
Oh, stay tuned. Yikes. Stay tuned for more details, Mr. Trump. Wow. So they're going to compile their own list. How about that? How about that? And you're going to hear from Massey and Khanna about that. That little idea picks up a little steam as well. That little idea has sparked something in a couple guys that can do something with a survivor list. But she's saying, yeah, we're going to make our own list. We're going to make our own list. Now, the Trump administration came out months ago saying there is no list. And we sat here on this show and said, you know what? There probably is no blackmail book. Open page 1. Read the names. Yeah, we kind of agreed. That would be pretty damn stupid. And you can call Jeffrey Epstein a lot of things, but pretty damn stupid wasn't one thing that was used to describe him much. So we said on this show, yeah, there probably isn't a book with names in it. And even Brad Edwards and the survivors agreed. Yeah, there's probably no Epstein list physically existing in this world. They agreed with him. So I'm not calling the Trump administration liars. I'm saying they know who has the list. They know that there's more than one way to list things. They know that there are definitely avenues, especially for the survivors, to be able to identify who would be blackmailable in Jeffrey Epstein's life. The administration knows that, but they feel like it's nice cover if they come out and say, look, there is no list, and there indeed ends up being no physical list. They look like geniuses, right? But we know the truth. We know that these young ladies, they can create a list. They will never forget that trauma. And if they're willing to put that list together, well, geez. Although I do fear for their safety, obviously, I'm on board. I'm on board. This is a game changer. If these ladies put together a list, and it's backed by fact, and they start naming the wrong people, I mean, this would be one of the most brave acts from a victim we've ever seen in our lives. We know that victims at local levels, people who aren't national figures, people just in small communities who would never openly accuse or tell their story of trauma and abuse because of the backlash just in their neighborhood or at their school or their job. Now think about the backlash at this level these women would be facing. Could there be a braver act possible by a group of victims than to call out power at this level with a list? Astonishing.
It's time for a quick break, then we break some more. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. You're back with Brett Breaks Things, because democracy doesn't defend itself.
All right. We got a lot more. We're getting a lot more views. Our numbers are going up. Our overall numbers are downloaded on podcasts. You guys that come to watch the YouTube live, then come later. Some come later and watch. The numbers are growing, and I appreciate every single one of you guys. I appreciate all of you. Please donate if you can. We definitely need it. Not gonna do a whole thing. Just if you can donate, that would be amazing. Anything you can donate at all, just go to brettbreaksthings.com and hit the donate button. It's that simple. And I especially appreciate my friends and fans who show up live, and they have a community of their own in the chat room. And I really appreciate everybody very, very much. And one question I'm getting is why aren't they calling Trump out? Why are they not being a little more honest, frank, whatever the word is you want to use with Trump himself? Well, it's twofold. It's twofold. First, why are they petitioning Trump for help when there's nothing, he could sign an executive order, release everything right now, not 30,000 at a time, all redacted. He could do an executive order, release it all unredacted, every bit of it right now. He could do that, but that's unrealistic. What they're really saying is, Trump, we know that you're the impediment. Overall, ultimately, they realize that he's the impediment to specifically this discharge petition, right? I just told you what the White House said about the discharge petition. They take it as a hostile act against the administration to sign it. These ladies aren't stupid. They know he's the blockage. They know he's the problem here. And they're being respectful strategically. It has become very obvious the way to Donald's heart. It's with reverence, gushing, thank yous, you're amazing, best ever, bigly, strongly, quickly. That's how you get to Trump's heart. They know the assignment. They know how to play this game. Everybody does now. Everybody does. You just got to be nice and reverent to the dear leader. That's all you got to do, and they're trying to do that. They're saying, look, Trump, this should be a no-brainer to get us justice. You're not on the list, right? You personally have nothing to hide, right? So what's the problem? Let's get justice. Kash Patel promised it. Dan Bongino promised it. Pam Bondi promised it. You promised it yourself. Now all of you are in a position to get us justice. So do it. You've got nothing to hide. Let's get it done. Please, Mr. Trump, you're so bigly. I think they may have got their answer, though. And I'm going to let you be the judge. And I'm just going to kind of give you the context. But I think they may have got their answer to their pleas to the dear leader.
Department of Justice telling me that this was going to happen when it had already happened.
Hear that?
This woman
Whoa.
abused children.
Whoa. What in the... Okay. You all heard that. That was a flyover right in the middle of their press conference. She's, having her say, and in the middle of that, a flyover, and it wasn't the only one. Here's the deal. Trump was having a meeting in the White House today. Right around 11:30, he was meeting with the new Polish president, Karol Nawrocki. They met there. Or yesterday, I'm sorry, yesterday. I said again today, yesterday. Let me be clear. This was yesterday. So he's meeting with the new Polish president in the White House at 11:30. Right around 11:30, they were meeting. This press conference yesterday was scheduled for 11:30. Now, on its face, President Trump had to fly over to shut these ladies up, right? That's exactly where your gut takes you immediately. It's where your instincts take you immediately. He scheduled a flyover to interrupt these ladies' press conference. That's where my gut went to. We did a little digging. Now, to be fair, there was an announcement. Now, we couldn't track down when the announcement was made, but there was an announcement that at 11 o'clock, flyovers would begin to commemorate fallen Polish soldiers and pilots in honor of the visit of the new Polish president. So that message was sent at some unknowable time that at 11 it would begin with the press conference scheduled for 11:30. So I have to question, I have to ask, whoever sets up, coordinates these press conferences, or this one in particular, did they hear the announcement? Did they get the message? Did they have a discussion about the possible flyover? This was 4 F-35 Lightnings and 4 F-16 Fighting Falcons in this flyover, by the way. Did they have a discussion about it? Did they say, hey, maybe we should move this? They've warned us. Should we move this? Or was that kept from them? Who coordinated this press conference? Was that person somebody who has these ladies' best interest in mind? Was that person somebody who knew the flyover was going to happen and did not tell them? Maybe we'll get the answers on this. It's not like this is some giant scandal. It just seems like an FU out of Don. That's what it feels like. Now, any other president, if this happened under any other administration, I don't think we would go here. I don't even think we would go here. I don't even know if it would make news. A flyover from, 11:15 to 11:30, somewhere around there, a couple flyovers. I don't know that this would even make news, not just under Biden or Obama. I don't know that this would make news under Bush or any of the other Republicans either. But because of Donnie's track record, on the macro, he's a child. On the micro, have we ever seen a pettier person in our lifetime? Not just a president. Have you ever encountered in your life someone as petty as our president of the United States right now? So, you know what, Don? You don't get the benefit of the doubt. That's all the discussion you get about this. I'm going with my gut. You're a petty little bee. And these women were trying to tell truths, talk to you, and say they might create a list, and you scheduled a flyover right in the middle of it. That's what I'm going to go with. I have a feeling that's what many of you are going to go with. You want to argue with me on that? That's fine. I will only say that your argument may hold water any other time, but under this dude, nah. Nope. That was their answer. He gave them their answer about how helpful he will be getting this discharge petition through the House. They got their answer. They got their answer. We're going to hear from these women just a little bit more. There they are getting interrupted again.
My first trip to the Palm Beach residence, I drove there from the airport with Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jeffrey and Ghislaine were always very boastful about their friends, their famous or powerful friends, and his biggest brag forever was that he was very good friends with Donald Trump. He had an 8x10 framed picture of him on his desk with the two of them. They were very close.
Okay. Okay. Miss Davies, slow down. Please, for your safety, slow down. I called it the behavior brave. It's getting braver by the second. She's saying one of Epstein's biggest brags was that he was best friends with Trump for a decade, had pictures of him on his desk. Whew. Slow down. I hope some sympathetic benefactor donates around the clock security to these ladies. If I had the cash, I would do it. I'd either get Jason Statham out there or The Rock or somebody from some action film, some bodyguard from somebody like that around these ladies at all times. Wow. Wow. And they speak to the danger that is posed when you talk this kind of truth to power. They speak about it.
Come along and speak up so that we can be more of a stronger voice and louder.
And so what is your message to President Trump on this matter?
Listen, I don't want to send a direct message to him. I'm already scared enough. Yeah, just pass the vote, listen to us. This is not a hoax. Like, it's not going to go away. And like I said on my speech earlier, we're not going to be silenced anymore. We will be speaking moving forward wherever we need to be. We will be, and we need to pass this.
Go ahead. Wow. This is not a hoax. That's what she's telling you. Not just you, not just me. She's telling the people in power. This is not a hoax. This is not going away. It's not. We're gonna hear about how Donnie feels about that when we come back. They know the position they're putting themselves in right now. We all do. It's pretty obvious. It's disgusting that we can so accurately identify the danger they are putting themselves in. Not just by mysterious Republican benefactors that may be named. No. There is the looming threat of Donald Trump himself. Let's just be honest. That's the biggest threat.
Breaking politics, breaking narratives, breaking news. But first, we need a coffee break. Brett breaks things, fighting for America one mic drop at a time.
Right now, there have been survivors of Jeffrey Epstein speaking at a press conference on Capitol Hill. They're calling for these case files, these documents to be released. And Thomas Massey, who was sponsoring a discharge petition to get the House to vote on releasing those documents, says he doesn't believe you're implicated in these files, but many of your friends and donors may be, and he says that's why the Justice Department is redacting them and slow-walking the release. Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir?
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends.
That never ends.
You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. Even if you look at D.C. right now, D.C., it's a totally safe zone. It's called a safe zone. That's a term. It's a term of art. It's a safe zone because it's very safe. You can walk down the street now and nothing's going to happen. No crime, no murders, no nothing. Because we had a lot of problems with certain places, and we still do. All run by Democrats, or for the most part, run by Democrats.
All right. Stop right there, Don. It's about enough out of you. For now, at least. Not a hoax. And then he goes on to his diatribe of conspiracies. The evil Democrats, the enemy within. His words. So, yeah. They fear for their lives, probably. Right? I mean, that's the reasonable reaction. You're looking for justice. You know exactly who abused you. You know they have gone unpunished. And you know that guy right there has the power to make it happen. So you say something. And that's his response. The most powerful man on the planet responding right to you. You, survivor, are telling me it's not a hoax. I'm telling you, it's a hoax that never ends. Whose voice is more powerful? holds more weight, has more influence. So these ladies have to borrow others' influence because they don't have enough themselves. That makes sense, right? So they got to borrow others' influence. They have to be given a chance, a real chance at justice, and they need help to do that. Now, here's their lawyer talking about just what they're looking at, just what they're facing.
One question
This is
that I think a lot of people
Scarola.
are wondering is, why aren't they just releasing the names now? Why don't they just go up at that press conference and give the names of the people that trafficked or raped them? I know the answer, but why don't you explain it?
That question was asked at the press conference, and the answer that was given is a very reasonable response. They are concerned about retaliation. They have been ignored. They have been lied to. They have been accused today of being participants in a political hoax. And so they are going to take steps very carefully moving forward and recognize the fact that the names of those to whom they were trafficked is an important issue, but it is not nearly as important as the assault against the civil justice system and the criminal justice system that has been taking place over the course of the last 2 decades. That's where the real story lies, and those are the real answers that need to be sought. And that's a major portion of what the victims were attempting to achieve during the press conference today.
So they're telling you it's retaliation. They know the names. They have been traumatized by these memories for years. They know who did this to them, and they know how powerful they are. So they're going to need help. One woman's account, this is something I hadn't thought about, right? What she describes here is something that those of us who have not been victimized in this fashion, it's something we might not consider. But I do think it's worth bringing to you.
What I will say is she got this airtime and platform. Her voice was elevated way before our voices were elevated here today. And that same calm, manipulative voice that she had so polite there that day with Todd Blanche was the same polite, coercive, manipulative voice that I heard as she was grooming me to then send me off to the home of Jeffrey Epstein where he would assault me. So that's what she was doing for hours, speaking with me, building relationship with me, building trust with me, allowing me to believe that I was going to get this job, a dream job that I had been recruited from my college, flown across the country from Los Angeles to New York City to interview, so I thought. So her voice that day was the same voice that sent me off to a monster. So nothing can be believed from what she says because she's been charged with perjury. I myself could sit there and listen, and as I did, I sat there and listened to this woman's voice lie. And there was no pushback from Todd Blanche because does he even have the facts to be able to push back on her? Yeah. We could sit there and push back. Why didn't we get to attend that?
So she's talking about Todd Blanche's meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell. It was recorded. They released some of the recordings. We didn't get into it because there was no point. And she's telling you why there's no point. She's a liar. She's a manipulator. And Todd Blanche was not in a position to tell her she's lying and she's manipulating and call her out. That's not what that meeting was about. And she's saying, as soon as I heard those tapes, it reminded me of my trauma. And now, and they're talking, and later on they go on to say, and now she's being moved to a prison camp, not even a prison, but a camp. She's getting rewarded for lying to Todd Blanche. Unbelievable. One of them admits, I'm a Republican. This has nothing to do with politics. One of them said, I'm a registered Republican. This has nothing to do with that. This is all about justice. You send your deputy AG down there to be lied to, and I got to listen to the tapes and relive that trauma? It's pretty harrowing. Pretty harrowing. Now, although Republicans are peeling off support for the moment for Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey's discharge petition, meanwhile, Mike Johnson's putting through garbage, non-binding resolutions to continue to release the files. They basically did this whole show. They think we're stupid. Instead of getting the discharge petition moving forward, they said, hey, we're going to pass this little resolution that says, DOJ, keep doing what you're doing. See, we care. We're responding. It's complete nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Nothing. It's doing nothing. It's essentially doing nothing. This DOJ investigation and adhering to the subpoena from the Oversight Committee is already happening. Although they said it will happen piecemeal, 30,000 page tranches at a time. They say it's happening, and it is, although it's all already released. They're not giving us what we really want. They say it's happening. And now Mike Johnson with this garbage, bullcrap, fugazi resolution to keep giving us tranches of documents that we've already seen. Massey responds to it.
Now, the Speaker of the House just offered a fig leaf to my colleagues. They're going to vote on a non-binding resolution today that does absolutely nothing. I appreciate the efforts of my colleague James Comer, who's leading the Oversight Committee. They may find some information, but they're allowing the DOJ to curate all of the information that the DOJ is giving them. If you've looked at the pages they've released so far, they're heavily redacted. Some pages are entirely redacted. And 97% of this is already in the public domain. So I'm calling on my colleagues. Be one of the next two who sponsors this discharge petition. I think it's shameful that this has been called a hoax. Hopefully today we can clear that up. This is not a hoax. This is real. There are real survivors.
Not a hoax. Very real. Sees that bullcrap non-binding resolution for what it is. Not an olive branch, but a fig leaf. He called it right out for what it is. And he invoked the name of Comer, right? Oh, I appreciate the efforts of Comer. You want to hear Comer on this issue? Let's hear from Comer then.
Democrats on your committee say 97% of the Epstein-related documents from the U.S. Justice Department released to the American people last night were already public. What do you say to that?
Well, the 3% that weren't public, that's 3% more than Joe Biden released when he was president. Look,
Very
President
good,
Trump
James.
is complying with our subpoena, with my subpoena. He's turning over documents. We posted 34,000 last night. We expect to get more documents as soon as we get those documents and review to make sure none of the victims' names are listed who don't want their names listed. Then we're going to put those online as well. And
there it is. There's that little cubby hole. Hey, if it takes time, it's because we're protecting people. We're delaying their justice by telling you we're protecting them. That's why it's taking forever and multiple tranches and everything's redacted and nothing's new, because we're protecting them while delaying the justice they deserve. That's the cubbyhole they hide in. And when asked about 97% of the information in the first tranche has already been made public, what does he say? More than Joe Biden ever did. There you go. There's that whataboutism. Hadn't heard it in a few days. There it is. Don't answer the question. Just blame Joe Biden. Don't answer the direct question about your DOJ and its inability to follow through on a subpoena that you gave them. Nope. Invoke the name of Joe Biden. And if that doesn't work, bring up Obama. That'll get him. It's pathetic. That whataboutism, I'm just done with it. No room for it by either side. Let's talk about what this president right now is doing with its DOJ. That's what I want answers to, Comer. not some slick little 3% comment. And by the way, there was one little interesting piece that came out of those 30,000 new files. Oh, lo and behold, it turns out we were lied to once again by Miss Bondi. You see that 1 minute? Remember that missing 1 minute? Remember that? We found it. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. We'll do that. Yeah, we'll do it in that order. This is what Bondi had to say when the original video came out, and there were detractors, there were doubters, there were forensic experts not on her payroll that said, wait a second, something's fishy here. What did she have to say about it?
And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
Okay, very interesting, Ms. Bondi. Very interesting. Okay, so they're using the same recording equipment since 1996, and every night the same minute is missing. Except guess what we found in a more raw version of that night. And for those of you listening on the podcast, I'm showing a missing minute. Now watch, because even the reporting I don't agree with. There's reporting, watch, there's reporting out of CBS. He gets up, somebody gets up from the station, walks over to the Epstein stairwell, out of camera. Gone for a second. Then, you'll see in a little bit, he will come back. Let me get a little forward here. Yeah, it's a little long. Okay, so he comes back and then goes upstairs. Now, you saw the original part where he went off to the right. I'm trying to get to the... That's fine. Not great radio. Look, so he walks off to the right. Then he comes back to the station. And he goes upstairs to those doors that were in the closer shot, which we've already told you that's not Epstein's cell. Epstein's cell is in the back of the shot. The stairwell to his cell block is blocked by the particular shot. You can't see the stairwell, but you do see that gentleman go towards the stairwell in the missing minute. Okay? You lied, Pam. You lied. And when video forensic experts dug in a little bit, they said, you know what? Yeah, that's a little more authentic than the video Pam originally showed us, but that's not the raw footage either. This is definitely a recording of a recording. The resolution is off. Even the graphics for the font of the writing is off. Doesn't match up. This isn't the original. We'll see where this goes. But Pam is no doubt already lying. She lied. She lied about the explanation for a missing minute every night, same minute. There it is. You flat lied. Now, if she didn't flat lie, she better come out real quick and say the forensic experts on our payroll, they screwed up. They gave me bad information. What do you think? I'm sitting here pouring through the metadata myself? No, I have to rely on my experts. If Pam was smart and if she's not lying, that's what she'd say. We'll see what their response is.
We'll be back to break it all down. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. Brett breaks things because someone has to.
President Trump says the U.S. bombed a boat allegedly carrying illegal drugs from Venezuela. You've likely seen this video on your social media feeds today. 11 are dead in the first known operation since the Trump administration's recent deployment of the warships to the southern Caribbean. Here's a closer look of the video of that strike. Watch this. The boat's moving on the water, and then, boom, It's a direct hit. President Trump posted that to social media. He described the boat as a drug vessel. He also warned other countries against trying to bring drugs into the United States.
Boom. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys heard this story. I don't know if you're aware of this, but yes. Off the coast of Venezuela, we destroyed a drug vessel. Okay? This happened while Marco was in Mexico. He was meeting in Mexico with their president and some other people, and I'll get to that in just a little bit because that meeting was interesting as well. But he was in Mexico, and he did respond to this. But it appears, and we've been told, that 11 people plus lots of drugs were blown up off the coast of Venezuela, and Trump ordered it. Trump ordered the hit. He himself ordered the hit. Okay? That's what's being reported. Now, Marco made it clear. Instead of interdicting, which is seizing it, pulling it over, seizing it, the president's orders were to blow it up. And he says, and it'll never happen again. You blow it up, it'll stop it. And he also says, we're going to blow up more ships. Keep your eyes peeled. More people are getting blown up. He went on to say the president's a talker. He's a doer. He's going to do it. He's bigly. He's strongly. This is a result of him being able to deem all drug cartels and drug trafficking operations as terrorists. Now that that's established, he can do things like this. The White House spokesman, Anna Kelly, she said something about this in a statement. The strike was conducted against the operations of a designated terrorist organization and was taken in defense of vital U.S. national concerns and in the collective self-defense of other nations. Okay. Fine. They're terrorists, and you did this to defend everybody. Oh, okay.
That was definitely not artificial intelligence. I watched it live. We knew exactly who was in that boat. We knew exactly what they were doing, and we knew exactly who they represented. And that was Tren de Aragua, a narco-terrorist organization designated by the United States, trying to poison our country with illicit drugs.
And as I said, you know, the legalities of what they're looking into now, the rules of engagement, what we're looking into now, rules of engagement and whether use of force amounts to extrajudicial arbitrary killing. Pete Hegseth went further today because there's also questions as to what's the concept of this mission, whether it is drug interdiction or if they're looking for a sort of regime change. And he said, we put the weapons and the pieces in place, and that is a White House decision.
So it's a White House decision, okay? Now, the White House is saying interdiction doesn't work. What will stop them is if you blow them up. And it's estimated about 2% of cartels' profit is already planned to be seized. They plan it in their profits. When they look at their overall profits, what they're going to make, cost of shipping, development, and you know, getting it across state lines, country lines, whatever, it's estimated about 2% of their profit goes to interdiction or taking it from them. Here's the thing. Whether you stop the boat and seize the drugs or blow the boat up and send everyone to hell, including the drugs, it's still 2%. By Marco's logic, he's saying blowing up the boats, that will stop them from doing it again. Okay, let's follow this logistical path a little bit, Marco. You're saying when the drug lord gets ready to greenlight another shipment from Venezuela to the Caribbean somewhere, and the boat driver, the pilot, the captain says, oh, but hey, drug lord, the last time we did this, we got blown up by the U.S. government. Marco's assuming that the drug lord's response will then be, you know what? You're right. I care about your life. I care about your family. I don't want to see anything bad happen to you. You don't have to go. No, that won't be the drug lord's response. He'll say, go make that money. Yeah, go. You get blown up, you get blown up. Same 2%. Whether you go to jail, or get blown up, it's the exact same to me because I'm a drug lord and a sociopath and a psychopath, and I don't care. But let's say they care a little. You think they won't quickly adapt like these cartels have survived by for generations, their adaptability? That's what they do. It's what they do. And it's so funny because the White House refused to tell us who the men were or even what and how much drugs were on that boat. And they especially refused to tell us how they were identified. And then Trump goes and says something. And then here comes Trump behind Marco, who didn't say anything about it, behind the White House's statement, we're not telling you anything about this. Here comes Trump, quote, "We have tapes of them speaking," Trump said from the Oval Office on Wednesday. "It was massive amounts of drugs coming into our country to kill a lot of people, and everybody fully understands it. You see it when you see bags of drugs all over the boat, and they were hit." Okay, so your intelligence community does this amazing work to identify these drug smugglers that you want to blow up. And they kind of want to keep it secret how they got them, right? Their methodology. And here comes old Donnie. Oh, we were listening to him talk. We had him bugged. Just in case you drug cartel lords wanted to know how we caught you, I'm here to tell you, we bugged you. Way to play it close to the chest there, Donnie. Way to back up your intelligence community. Nice job. So just in case you guys were wondering how you got caught, you now know. Now, Trump has blamed this drug trade ultimately on Nicolas Maduro. Okay? In 2020, they indicted Maduro and 14 allies on drug smuggling, fraud, all sorts of charges. And they even have a $50 million bounty on his head for conviction, arrest, $50 million for the arrest or conviction of Maduro, because he's who they say is trafficking all the drugs. And the indictments on him, there are leaked Colombian records and files indicating that Venezuelan security and military facilitated billions of dollars of drug shipments. That's in our indictment. So I'm not here to say Maduro's innocent. I'm saying there is 1,000 ships in and around Venezuela's coast in an attempt to stop a drug trade that largely goes through the Pacific. It's estimated only 24% of the cocaine trade and the drug trade coming out of South America goes through the Caribbean. Venezuela itself doesn't really produce cocaine, but a certain amount does travel across their borders and out to sea on their coast. There's no doubt about that. It's nothing near a Colombia or a Guatemala or some of these other countries, especially the ones that have access to the Pacific, because that is the established drug route, the Pacific. But the U.S. has 1,000 vessels in and around that area, and this is just a show of power. This is saber rattling. That's what this is. It's saber rattling. This strike right here is not an actual attempt to stem the drug trade coming out of Venezuela. This is a message. This is a message. And I ask you this. If they can strike a terrorist drug cartel off the coast of Venezuela with no explanation, no arrest, no due rights, no process, because they're terrorists, blow them out of the water. I ask you this. Aren't there drug cartels inside U.S. borders? Under these rules, can they just strike in our borders if you've been deemed a terrorist? Or have been deemed to have terrorist ties? You're maybe the cousin of a gang member who sells drugs. You may live in a housing development with a drug activity going on. Maybe your apartment complex has to go. Just to be sure. They didn't do any investigation on these guys. They just blew them out of the water. Are those the rules now?
They'll try to repair the narrative, but Brett Breaks Things will be back tomorrow to break it all down.